All right, welcome to the third video of this four-part training series on how to dropship on Facebook Marketplace. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the Facebook Marketplace platform. I'm going to help you understand it, help you get to know it, and help you know which parts of this platform are going to be most useful to you and which other parts they're not going to be useful at all, probably. So first of all, in order to get onto Facebook Marketplace, you obviously go into your Facebook account, and then you click up here onto this little marketplace symbol. And so on the left, we have these, of course, these little sections and notifications. I've never used that before. It's of no use. Same with basket. That's more for if you're buying things. Browsal, don't worry about that. Out of these, the only one that is actually useful is your account. Create a new listing is useful for when we're creating a new listing, obviously, but to actually look at our stuff, look at for everything we need, we want to go to your account. So I'm actually using my personal Facebook account to make this video. I don't actually sell on this account. My main account is another account, but I do have a couple of listings on here from a couple months ago, and I decided that I will leave these listings on here because I knew I would be making this video. And the reason really that I'm telling you that I don't use this account to sell is because I don't want you wasting your time trying to look for my items on this account, trying to find hot selling items, because I'm not selling anything at all on this account. Okay, so now that we're in your account, out of these ones, in fact, the only one that actually helps anything, the only one that actually matters, that's of any use, is your listings. The other ones are of no use. Saves, if you want to save something, I've never had any use to do that. There's no point. Alerts, again, there's no point. That's for just something else. That's not for us as sellers, not for us as dropshippers. Following, again, yeah, no. Commerce profile, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but again, this isn't a big deal either. The most important thing by far is your listings. So first of all, I will say that because Facebook Marketplace is a fairly new platform, it's not that new, it's maybe 3 years old or so, but it is still fairly new. And there are a few things which can be confusing / annoying. There's a few, we can say, glitches. Sometimes things just aren't working and there's no reason for it, but then they work again. And also, for example, I mentioned how I'm not actually selling on this account, I'm selling on a different one. So Facebook Marketplace, between accounts, it's often the case that there are differences between accounts. So for example, I'll give you an example. So this is my account that I'm using. So as you can see here, these are two ways of basically categorizing or viewing your items. So there's obviously like this, and then there's just the list. So the other account I'm using doesn't have this, doesn't have that. It only has this. It only has the list. In fact, it doesn't even have this at all. It doesn't have these little things. It only is like this. And so, yeah, so throughout this course, as I'm showing you this course, there might be things that you see here that don't exist on your account. And that might be annoying, but just accept that it's just how it is currently with Facebook Marketplace. There are some inconsistencies. And not only that, but there are differences between the phone version of Facebook Marketplace versus the computer version of Facebook Marketplace. So normally on apps and websites, that kind of thing, normally there's more options on the computer version than on the app version, as in there's often things that you can't do on the app, which you can do on the computer. But for Facebook Marketplace, it's strange. It's the other way around. There's some things that do not exist on the computer version that do exist on the phone version or the app version of Facebook. However, for listing items, you want to do it on your computer, because on the phone, you just can't. You can list things on the phone, but if we want to have high quality listings, it's far, far, far better to do it on the computer because we have a lot more control over what we're doing. So let's have a look at these listings. So the first thing I'm going to draw your attention to is this date. So this is the date that the item was listed. So these dates are helpful to kind of track your results or track the results of the listing. And you can see also the listing views. So the listing views is very, very helpful to see essentially how popular the item is. So as we can see, these were listed on the same day, the 3rd of December. So the 29th of the 1st, so it was, a few days short of 2 months ago. And this one hasn't had any views in almost 2 months, this is not a successful item at all. Whereas this one's had 269, so way, way, way better, obviously. So these are important, the date, the views. And also there's, with our listings, there's not often, but sometimes there are things at the top. So in this, obviously it says tip, renew your listing. Sometimes if like there's something missing in the description, or like maybe the category, it might say at the top, fill in the category, something like that. Usually it's blank, but if it says something, you might want to attend to it. Also here is obviously boost listing. So what you can do, basically it has the option that you can pay some money and Facebook will show the listing to more people. I've never done this. I've spoken with people who have done it and they said that it's kind of no point. It doesn't really make any difference. So that's why I haven't done it. That's why I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. You could try it. I'm sure it won't do any harm, although you might lose some money, but it's up to you. Personally, I don't do it. I don't teach it. There's the share button. You can share your listings into other places in Facebook. I've never done that. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. There's no point. I highly doubt it will ever give you any results. So this blue button here, it says mark as sold. I never do that. I definitely don't do it when I've sold it, because that basically, it kind of takes it out of stock. So it marks it as unavailable to the buyer. We don't want to do that. The only time I might do this is because maybe on my supplier website, it is suddenly out of stock. So I might do that. Sometimes if it's out of stock, I just delete it. I just delete the listing. But if I suspect it might come back in stock, I might do it as out of stock. And what is helpful is over here. So renew post, that can be helpful. I'll speak about renewing listings in a second. Mark as pending, that's of no help. View listing, as you can imagine, you can view the listing in greater detail. Here we are. Edit listing, obviously you edit the listing, and delete listing, obviously is self-explanatory as well. Now, up here as well, search your listings. So this is helpful. Let's say, for example, I've got a sale, I made a sale and I have all my sales in a spreadsheet. Let's say I want to go back and find one. So let's say, for example, I want to open the listing. I can highlight this, copy that. So for example, I can search my listings there, which makes it very easy. Or for example, just a little chunk of it, full draw, that's all good. Then of course we have this little bit here, just to help view the items differently, depending on how you like it. Okay, finally, I'm going to talk about renewing the listings. So when we list an item, it appears at the top of the search generally, but then as time goes on and other people list items, our items start to drop down the search. And basically Facebook has this option for us, which is to renew the listing, and renewing the listing basically bumps it up to the top for us, bumps it back up. And we can renew a listing 5 times, and then you can't really relist it anymore. After 5 times, we can either choose to leave it or delete it or relist it, depending on the situation. So there's a couple ways of renewing the listing. First of all, you can click that and then do renew here, and then it's been renewed. Another way is to do it all in bulk, like that. Like that. Boom, boom, boom. Renew, like that, a lot quicker. So I'll go back to the commerce profile briefly. And so this is what the buyer can see. They can actually go and check you out. They can check out your profile. So, it is in your interest to look like a human, just look like, as opposed to like a faker, a scammer, that kind of thing. You want to look like a genuine person who's with a genuine life and personality, and someone who is, just comes across normal and trustworthy. So myself, for example, it shows that I'm living in Mexico, which might be off-putting to the person. But I'm not, as I said, I'm not selling on this account. There's also seller ratings, which doesn't make a huge difference, but it is good to get some good 5-star ratings. I will show you how to do that in a later video. And I mentioned how because Facebook Marketplace is still quite new and it can be a bit glitchy. I'm going to speak a little bit more about these glitches. So there's glitches or differences between different people's Facebook Marketplace accounts, and there's also differences between the phone versus computer. So with different accounts, so such as when we go to list, we want to do items for sale. When we go to list an item, so there are some parts around here which kind of some people don't have, basically. So the product tags thing, you might not have that. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. If you don't have this product tags, don't worry. It doesn't actually make any difference in terms of sales. And so my account, as you can see, it has this thing, hide from friends. But the other account that I'm using, it doesn't have that. But this one does, the other one doesn't. Why not? It's just how it is. Thanks, Facebook. It's just how it is. But, if you do have this, you don't have that, it shouldn't affect anything. It shouldn't affect anything for you. So don't worry about that. Don't feel that you're lacking or your account's lacking because of it. Okay, so we pretty much covered everything on the desktop or the computer version of Facebook Marketplace. So now I'm going to quickly show you a few things on the mobile version or the Facebook app on the phone. So first of all, I will say that I do the vast majority of everything on the computer, or the listings when I actually edit the items as well, looking at the data such as the views, that kind of thing. The only thing I actually use the phone for is responding to messages, basically messaging the buyers or the potential buyers, chatting with them. I do that on the phone. It's pretty easy. Okay, now firstly, I wanted to show you, I wouldn't call it a glitch, but we could call it a difference between two different Facebook accounts on the mobile version. This isn't actually the Facebook app, but this is a separate app, which is the Facebook Messenger app. So a separate app entirely for the Facebook Messenger, the messages, if you're new to this. So a separate app to Facebook entirely. Now, these are two different Facebook accounts. And as you can see, one of them, it has its own little section within the message section, its own little section specifically for marketplace messages, which makes it far, far, far easier to just work on marketplace basically. So these are more like personal messages over here. As you can see, I've blacked them out because it blacked out the face and the actual conversation. These are personal messages. And so the marketplace messages are in a separate section entirely. So that makes things far easier to manage. Whereas on this is a different Facebook account. And as you can see, this is actually top of the list and there is no marketplace section. So these are personal messages. We have the person's face and the person's the comment. And as you can see, this is a marketplace message. The person is saying, is this still available? And they're all mixed in with the personal messages, which is, it's kind of annoying that they're all mixed up. It's far, far easier to separate work from personal, the Facebook marketplace messages. So that's that, just, So maybe you will have this, maybe you won't. Hopefully you will have this option. If you don't have it, then I don't think there's anything you can do about it. You can just hope that eventually it will come. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. You could try and start a different Facebook account, but again, there's no promises. And also what we want to do is we want to establish some trust with the buyer, because since we don't have the shipping option and therefore Facebook doesn't offer security or protection to the buyer, everything is done outside of Facebook. We need to establish more trust with the buyer, and therefore having a slightly aged Facebook account with, for example, years of pictures, posts, lots of Facebook friends, that does establish more trust with the buyer. So really, if you don't have this, well, you got to make your own decision basically. So let's go on to the next slide. All right. So this is my personal Facebook marketplace on the app. As I mentioned, I'm in Mexico and Facebook Marketplace, for whatever reason, it's just a load of food, comida, sushi, kinds of stuff. That's not important. I wanted to show you up the top here. If you click on this, that's when you go to your profile. That's where you manage everything, your listings, that kind of thing. And then that takes us to here on the right. And nothing here is particularly useful. Only thing really is listings to kind of manage your listings, even edit your listings. Insights, it kind of tells you the views of your items, but that's not too helpful, I find at least. What is more helpful is the listings. And then once you do that, you can then go to edit your listings, and that takes you to here. This is actually the bottom part of the edit listing page. At the top will be the images, the description, the category. If you scroll down, then that's what is over here. And basically all I wanted to show you was this little bit here, which says offer delivery. So you might have this, you might not have it on your account. As I mentioned, Facebook is strange. Each account differs from the next sometimes in some ways. So this says offer delivery. So I'm basically showing you this so that you don't get confused, because a lot of people think, they assume, I've got the shipping option, but this isn't actually the shipping option, unfortunately. All this is basically just you tick the box, and supposedly what it does is on the listing, it says to the buyer that you offer delivery, and that's that. Nothing to do with the shipping option at all. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay, let's go back to the desktop version on the computer. And another glitch for me before was when I went to edit a listing, then let's say I wanted to reduce the price from 270 to whatever, 240, for example. Maybe I wanted to edit the name, something like that. So then I would go to update it. As you can see, it's nice and blue. It's ready to be updated. But with the whole load of my listings, I wasn't actually able to update it. It just wasn't an option. It was grayed out. It was grayed out. So I couldn't, as if like the way this is grayed out. So I wanted to edit my listings, but I couldn't. It just wouldn't let me click update. And so that was annoying. Thankfully, it wasn't all of my listings. It was only like maybe 15 listings that I listed on a particular day. I just couldn't update them. I couldn't edit anything. And that was really annoying. And so the only option was to delete the listing and then relist it again. And sometimes there's been times where I just can't renew the listing. I can't bump it back up. It just won't let me. And that's annoying. And so what's the answer to that? The answer is you just got to be patient. You just got to be patient. You can't, you just have to accept that it's glitchy and just be patient with it. Depending on the situation, you can figure out a way. Maybe just again, like delete the listing and relist it, something like that. But keep in mind that is very rare. That is very rare that these glitches happen. So don't worry about it, but just know that it could happen. So that pretty much covers it all. I hope this video was useful to you. Now in the next video, the fourth and final part of this free training series, I'm going to show you some very important things that are going to be very, very useful to you. Basically, it's how to make sales. What to do when somebody messages you, they see your listing, they send you a message telling you they're interested in your item. How do you turn that into a sale? That's exactly what the next video is going to be all about. Very important video. So I look forward to seeing you there.